Morning. Thank you for joining the August 16th, 2018 VOLTHA call. We do record the session so it can be posted to YouTube, so keep that in mind during the discussion and comments today. All right, with that, let's go ahead and get started today. We have a fairly brief agenda. We did not get any demos lined up for today, and the majority of the discussion, I believe, was resolved over VOLTHA Discuss. So the topic we had slated for follow-up discussion, if needed today, was on the device disable, enable, and delete discussion. So the expected behavior for disable and enable, I believe we have agreement reached over VOLTHA Discuss. There's a link to that thread here. Any comments from the group? And Sean Missette, I think you sent out a note on VOLTHA Discuss also that this appeared to be resolved, or we could post the disable enable portion. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe there were still comments about the need to have discussion on the expected behavior for delete, for what actions should occur there. Let's see, do we have, just check if anyone's friend the Foundry is on. I don't think I'm seeing anyone in the list. Okay. Anyone else have comments on that item today?
I think that was kind of also resolved in the TST meeting review yesterday.
Okay. So, yeah? All right. So we may be set there. Just wanted to double check. So we've been trying to keep the majority of the updates for specific items for the sprint on the Tuesday calls and keep this more for the technical items. We do have a few new JIRAs. Since we do have a short agenda, I thought we'd go ahead and review those new tickets. And those do start with 11:59. And so 11:59 was a new item. Oops, I need to readjust my screen so I can get to, whoa. There we go. Okay, so this is OpenOLT. Delete ONU has to disable it first in the drivers, and this is related, I think, to Sean, what you just said as well. Okay, so this task is complete, and so the next item is 1160, allow removal of ONU without XPON. This has been scoped in for Sprint 6 as well, and that one is in progress. And 1162 is OpenOLT, ONU indication changes admin state and should not. This one is now complete as well. And then we had one additional new item, slow data store growth with duplicate entries there. And then that one is currently under discussion. I'm not sure if there are comments that want to be brought up today for this item. All right, I am not hearing anything, so I think the discussion for that will continue in VOLTHA. And, okay, just checking the attendee list again. Let me go back to the agenda. The next item I just wanted to call out for visibility to the team was that we did have a blocker that carried over from Sprint 5. So that one has now been merged. The new patch was reviewed and has been merged in, so that is good. So thank you for the team for getting that completed since Tuesday, much appreciated. And then there are a couple items I just wanted to check where we may have had owners assigned at one point, but we're looking at this point for volunteers to pick up the work to see if, I think 789 is in the sprint, but we don't have an owner currently. And there's another one where there was some initial work, but we likely need a new owner for that item as well. So I'll just take a quick look at those. We've got 542. Wait, let me actually, sorry, wrong number. Got 789. All right, this was one that was opened by Luca. And this was where if you stop the loop waiting for device during the enable process, it ends up breaking VOLTHA and you can no longer enable that device at a minimum. And so that one was initially, we had some people take a quick look at it, but we don't have an owner currently for this work. So I wanted to see if there's anyone available to work on this defect.
I can do a comment on it.
Okay.
I think, down in the bottom, they're saying if you do a Control C, maybe have it stop the enable. And I think Control C should keep the enable running as is, because this should mimic what the REST interface does if you do an enable.
Okay.
So it should just break out of the loop where it's waiting for it to go active. If people are in agreement with that.
Chip, can you say that again? So you don't want to break out?
Well, the Control C should probably get you back to the CLI prompt, but it should not try to disable the device, because one of the things you might want to do is pre-provision an OLT and enable it before it's even on the network. And so the device adapter should sit in the background waiting for that device to become available and then activate. So if you did a Control C, how would you do that from REST? Because REST just sets the value of enable and returns.
Correct.
So
we want to add a basic Control C, just make you back have the access of the CLI, but doesn't break out the process.
But it also might.
Is what we want.
Yeah, the CLI might also just check to see if it transitions from disabled to activating, which is probably where it's sitting at. And as soon as it sees activating, maybe it should just put out a message saying the device is activating and return back to the command line. And then you can use the device's command to watch the progress. So
instead of just waiting.
Yeah.
Instead of just waiting for the device.
Yeah.
Let me see what I can talk to Shad about this a little bit today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Sean. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I always thought the waiting for the device, there was the proposal to just like you said, right? Once you enable, just everything should be running in the background, and you should not wait and it should not stop the CLI, doing things. So I'm wondering. Okay, I'll talk to Shad about this one.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Chip. And then there's one other item, and that was 1121. I didn't have this on the email I sent out, so I looked at it later. Okay. And so this one is related to PondSim, and we've had discussion on this before, and this was about the issue opened was encrypted gRPC connections are no longer working for PondSim. So we had some discussion about a possible way to proceed forward, but we likely are going to be losing the resource who was working on this before this is complete. I think that happened today. So we're going to see if we can get a new owner to pick up this work. And so, and this one is not currently scoped in at this moment. So if we want to pull it in, we do need to find someone to work on it. So any volunteers or comments from the group?
And Zach said he's going to take a look at this, right?
Yeah, I think Zach is going to work on this.
Ah, yes. Okay, you're right. I missed that. I'm sorry. It's early over here. Thank you. Okay, so Zach will look at this, and then, so if it can be pulled in for the sprint, then that's great. So thank you, everyone, for refreshing my memory there. Okay, and that's it for what I had for today since the discussion topics were resolved earlier. Oh, I do see a comment from Venkata. Hold on one moment. Okay, we have a volunteer for a demo for JIRA 778 if we have time today, and we do have time on the agenda. Would that be acceptable to the group to pull in a last-minute demo for an item recently closed? So 778, I'll take you over so you can take a look at that. So this is one of the recently resolved items.
Okay. I think that's, yeah, if we can do a demo, that'll be great. But maybe when Venkata is getting ready for that, I do want to ask, I think I see Gamta is here right now. So Gamta, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I just wondering, the one of the blocker for the technology profile has been removed. So were you able to go forward with the technology profile implementation?
Next week for Turkey is a holiday.
Okay.
So I can start working on it after next week.
So next week you're going to have time off. Is that the next week? So
No,
you
not,
so you work
not
on it.
next week. After next week.
Oh, you start working on it after next week. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry for that.
Oh, no, no, that's fine. And there is a comment, Gamza, I saw the note that you added in the JIRA for that, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. And then any other topics from the group that need to be brought up today? And I think I saw, did I see Nick join? Nick, I just want to circle back to this first item. I think we have everything resolved from the discussions yesterday. Sounds like even including the delete portion of this, is there any further discussion you need from your side?
The delete, we might need to add in the new course one more interface to basically to propagate the delete to the parent devices to make sure every cleanup has to be done. I will check Ken's document on the interfaces if it's there or not, and if not, I suggest you add it over there.
Okay, thank you, Nick. And any other comments for discussion topics before we move on to the demo? All right, Venkata, are you ready for me to give you presentation rights?
Yeah, sure.
Great, thank you.
You can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So basically, this error is talking about the pre-provision command doesn't run. So so when we try to pre-provision, it's throwing some weird error before. So we have two cases in this. One is when you when device is not pre-provisioned, and the second case is when the device is already enabled. So here, the expected behavior is a device should be pre-provisioned, and one is if I enable the pre-provisioned device, I should be getting something like this. So this is the expected behavior. So now pre-provisioning. So since the device is already pre-provisioned, so the device is already enabled, and I'm trying to enable the device, which is already pre-provisioned. So device is already enabled. So this is the expected error that we, yeah. So device is not found, and device is already enabled. So logical devices. And if I try to enable a device that doesn't exist, there is no such pre-provision device, and we need to pre-provision that particular device to enable that. And yeah, from this code, from the Gerrit, so this is a change I made. The device should be enabled before. So basically, the weird error before enabling the device is like one is device is not pre-provisioned before, and now it is pre-provisioned, and the second one is device is already enabled. So the fix we made in the main.py was basically do enable. So as you can see from the Zira, so this is the new output. So this device is already enabled. So, and I try to enable this. So it's giving me an error, which is device is already enabled. Since it is already enabled, I'm trying to enable a device that doesn't exist, and I'm getting the proper error right now. And before enabling, there are two checks we need to check. One is check if the device is not pre-provisioned. That should give an error that device is not pre-provisioned. And the second one is check if the device is already enabled. So since the device is already enabled, we're getting the proper error right now. So according to Lucas and David's comment from the Gerrit, so this is what the fix was. And if I'm trying to enable the device, device is already enabled. So I think we are also getting that waiting for device. If I'm trying to enable a disabled device, it's one of the cases that Luca mentioned. So if I'm able, so this is also working. So we're getting the proper errors right now. So this is a fix right now. So if I have any questions, then yeah.
And yeah, thanks, Venkata. So one thing I think Venkata has some, and I had some discussion. Some of the the messages, right? So this is like CLI behavior on the CLI console of the VOLTHA. What if the the northbound trying to do pre-provision with the REST API? What will the same result?
This is particular to the CLI itself,
right?
Not the other interfaces. Yeah.
Right. And so I'm asking the community, if we use in the northbound to come in to do the same thing, should the same error, or what kind of error should be feed it back into the northbound? So for people working on these things, is there any comment on this? Because I think this is very specific for the CLI fix.
Venkata,
Okay.
are you using the text string that is coming back from VOLTHA to figure out whether it's enabled or not? Or using an error code?
The standard code, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, standard code, yes. The CLI standard code.
No, I mean like when you're trying to do a pre-provisioning for something that is already enabled, for example.
Right.
Are you getting an error code that is consistent, or you are getting an error message that you're passing to determine whether this is the device was already enabled or not?
It's only getting when we're trying to pre-provision the device.
No, but are you getting an error message? Do you have to pass an error message or an error code? A code is consistent, but then a message can change.
I think
I'm
Luca, I think had the error code listed before. Let me see what I should, because it. So Ken, what you're saying is the error message should look at the error code, and then because the error code will be common among whether CLI or the REST API, right?
Exactly. It should be like, and if there's not none, then it needs to be put in place. But we can't look at error message and figure out what it is, because error message will change.
Yeah, basically, this is to enhance the error message, as I put the comment here. As you can see, yeah.
I think what Ken means is if you try to provision or enable a device that is not there, you should get like a 404, like not found. And if you try to provision something that's not in the right state, you should get something else, like a 500 something.
Right. But I'm not getting the consistent error message all the time.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that case, like then when a change needs to be made in the API itself. In the API, pretty much, maybe that will originate from the core to make sure that the proper error code is being returned, because we can't just pass the error message there.
Right, but this particular ticket is talking only about the CLI, right? So should I include the change to all the APIs?
I have a question for. So in the CLI, does it do a gRPC call to get the thing done and get the error from the gRPC, or does it do a REST call to the other one? I mean, is the CLI directly talking to the core, or is it talking to the REST interface?
It's CLI goes directly to the core.
It's a gRPC interface.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so gRPC should have, I mean, it has error messages, I mean, error codes, so. And they seem to be implemented, at least at some places, in the core.
Yeah, so to answer your question, Venkat, as I said, it's better to make the change in the core to have a consistent view. But I understand there's a lot of APIs that potentially doesn't return the proper error message there. So at least for this one, maybe you can start to put an error code there and then try it with the CLI.
Yeah, so the GUI to access the VOLTHA CLI, you mean, right? So GUI to access the VOLTHA CLI, is there any procedure to access that?
A procedure to? No, I mean like in the gRPC API, the one that you're calling for example, at this time it's pre-provisioning one. I guess it's a create device or something like that. So in that API over there, you return a code, a specific code, and that code will be interpreted whether the device already enabled or not found or for whatever reason. And then you go in your CLI code, and then you look at the code and to output the proper message instead of passing the error message coming back.
Okay. Sure.
So Venkata, can you take a look at this one? I think basically the error message based on the code, you using a code to message translation. But of course, if the whole error message every time for the same behavior have the same messages, then that's, I guess, if the message and the code is a one-to-one map, I think the message is there's a whole string, right? And there is a content in that string does say the device doesn't exist or something like that, I think.
Yeah, but a lot of those error messages are pretty much used for debugging purposes. So anybody can go and add something different or change it. So it's not very consistent. It can change over time, but an error code is something more consistent that you can actually rely on.
Okay. Do we have a list of the error code for the gRPC?
I don't think there's we have.
You can find one online. There is a standard. For example, invalid argument is one of them. I mean, it seems that it's returning the proper one because the matching is doing on the string. It's basically doing on the status code, invalid argument and not found. So it is not really passing the content. Maybe it is. What we could do is just checking the status code. There is a special Python exception for gRPC. It's a gRPC error or something like this. And from there, you can easily get the status code and compare it to invalid and not found. I don't know if we still have it.
And Sean, like in terms of error code, like we don't, gRPC have their own error code, but we have not created a customized set for VOLTHA. So we use whatever gRPC provides. So it may not be complete for everything that we need in VOLTHA. Maybe we'll need to create some additional. Yeah, for VOLTHA.
So maybe we should ask, whether anybody has actually created additional code, VOLTHA specific gRPC error code, since the VOLTHA project started. Okay. So at least on this one, Renata, can you take a look at that again and see whether the error response, if you can base on the error code, and then that will make it consistent between the REST API response versus
rather
the
than
CLI.
message, you mean? Yeah. Okay.
And I think
yeah, sure.
I think that applied to probably the 700, that 750. 750 probably has a similar approach, right?
Yeah, similar. 750 and 751 has similar fix.
Yeah. Okay, great. Julie, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Venkata, and everyone for discussion. I'll go ahead and take presentation rights back. All right, and I think that takes us through the agenda today. So any other topics you would like to cover for the future Thursday calls? Do we have any additional demos or technical items that we know need discussion from the group that we can schedule in? Okay, so if something comes up, please let me know and we'll find a time slot for it. And with that, I think we're done for today, unless people would like to do detailed review of the in-progress items for Sprint 6. Since we just kicked it off this week, I was planning to defer that until Tuesday's meeting. Any preference from the group?
I think let's give the people the time back so they can do the work.
So we'll let everyone go for today. Thank you very much, and we will talk again soon. I'll go ahead and stop the recording.